Hello, today I have another strategy showcase video, and this one is a bit interesting because this was pretty much the best strategy in the last update, and it got nerfed quite a bit. So I've seen a lot of people comment say, oh, this strategy is unusable, but I think they clearly did not try it because it's still very, very strong. Well, for the first part, Geraldo got heavy nerfs, and of course that was kind of needed. So it's way less powerful than it used to be, but the saving grace for this is that the sniper nerfs actually weren't that bad. On paper they may look quite bad, but in reality it's not that terrible, at most a 20% loss, and for the power that it had, 20% loss is completely fine, and you'll still be able to get black borders very easily. So here is a geared black border, for example. Geared is quite a difficult map. It's not super difficult, but for a black border it's a bit more difficult, so you can definitely use this on a lot more maps. You can also use it on stuff like muddy puddles still, but for the example I'm going to be showing this. So you definitely can use it on a lot harder maps, and because geared has a tricky early game, you don't really want to take notes on the early game besides sniper spam into a bouncing bullet. You'll find a way to do it. Although one thing that you should note about the early game is that the Geraldo glue got a very heavy nerf, so you don't want to rely on it that much. You can definitely use it for some tricky rounds, I definitely recommend that, but you aren't going to have the Geraldo glue being your early game clutch. The next thing is that the shooty turrets are still very good, so you can use the shooty turrets all you want in the early game. You can also pickle Geraldo to buff them. That's very good. Pickles are still very good. They're a little bit more expensive, but they're very good. The super maelstroms got the heavy nerf. The genies also got a pretty big nerf, but that's not that bad. 2 rounds for a genie still for that price, for that damage. It's very good. But there are a lot of other items that are still pretty good. But the biggest concern, the biggest nerf concern for this strategy is the sharpstone. So for the sharpstone, it only lasts, I believe it's 15 rounds. You could correct me if I'm wrong, but you might have to reapply it. So I recommend not using sharpstone unless you know the rounds ahead are going to be kind of tough. So if you have a tough mid game, you can use sharpstone, but I always recommend getting the sharpstone on your snipers on like around 86 or so you get them all the way through the game, and then when Geraldo hits level 20, you restock, and you can put the sharpstone on the rest of the snipers. You'll see me do that later. But now that we have the bouncing bullet, I alch buff it to give it more damage. I get a sniper to 200, so it will damage that mob a bit, and you can use a maelstrom to clean up the insides. If you need a little bit more damage, feel free to use 1 chili pepper, it's not that much. And then after this, we should be chilling for a while, so I'm going to start my discount setup. What we're going to do with the villages is we're going to have 1 032 and 1 202 village, so we get the double discount, we get drums and MIB. It needs to be placed in a way where you can get the MIB around all of the all the snipers, so we can buff them all so they can hit DDTs, and then kind of out of the range, you don't need this in range of the MIB, you're going to get a heli pilot. This will be a 2-3-0 downdraft. It's very good at knocking the Bloons back. It did get nerfed, but the nerf is really insignificant, and its power level is still pretty much the exact same. It's just a little bit worse for stalling, but we're not going to be using any of that. The other thing to note is that if you're on a multi-lane map, I wouldn't recommend using downdraft, but instead you can use a balloon impact to stun the balloons, and then a set of spiked balls, 302. If the lanes are kind of close, if they're kind of far apart, you can do 2, 3, 2 O's, and that will be very good at cleanup the impact and balls. It's going to be a bit more expensive, but there's definitely a lot of budget you can work around with. I end up finishing this run with about 40,000 cash spare, so there's definitely a lot of wiggle room that you can use, and I definitely recommend using that. So with the snipers, I'm not going to be getting Elite Sniper before 63, but instead what I'm going to be doing, I get the main Moab, I get a 401 ALK because we're buffing many slow shooting towers, we get 401, and then I get a few 032s because that's the better crosspath too, and that will handle 63. There really is no need in getting Elite Sniper before round 63, although I do get the 042 because it does have more pierce. So we get that, and that handles 63 just fine. The main mob is cleaning up all these mobs, so we'll get Elite Sniper, we'll spam some more snipers, we'll spam some alks, and I'll come back. Alright, so a few things happen. Let's start with the Sharpstones. We have the buffed Sharpstone, and it's around 86, so we can apply them, and they'll stay on the towers. So we put them on all the sharp shooting snipers, so the 205 sniper wouldn't count, and the main mob wouldn't count, so you can't put them on those. But the 205 sniper, we have an Elite Defender. This is very good at helping clean up ceramics. You keep it on first, that's a big thing to note. Don't put it on strong. It's 205, and it also doubles as your round 100 help. You can use this to beat round 100 very cleanly, and it won't require you using like the abilities with the Spike Storm. So that's very good. And I just have more snipers. I would get a Sabo and an MIB. I get MIB kind of late. That was my bad. But Sabo, you kind of need that for slowing down the DDTs. If you need to, you can actually do Rejuve Potion on the Sabo to get it back. We won't really have much more abilities besides that, but Rejuve Potion on Sabo is pretty good if you need another Sabo anywhere. Other than that, it should be destroying just fine. We're going to have a lot of money left over. On around 98, I believe I get a Genie. Yes, I get a Genie on 98. And I also use some of the Super Maelstroms. They definitely aren't as strong as before. They're significantly weaker. But in a clutch to kill a beefy round like this, it definitely is worth it if you're needing help. And then for round 100, I just get another Genie. This does open up the bad. You might need a little bit of bad support on a shorter map, but we can use that last Super Maelstrom to get the inside, and that is your geared black border with sniper strategy and $40,000 left over. So I hope you enjoy. This still is a really good strategy, and I hope you can use this.